and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this turtleneck tie-up vest. And yes, this is in autumn and Halloween colors because it is never too early to start making those holiday projects. I figured I'd start making mine. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to do it step by step. For this tutorial, we will be using orange and black mainly, and as you can see, I have already done the front panel, and so we are just going to do the same exact panel just for the back. So each row is going to be 2 rows, so we're going to do 2 rows of each color, as you can see here, and then I will show you what we're going to do with the shoulder straps when it gets to that point. So we are going to start off with a magic circle. So hold your string like this, so your yarn like this, wrap around 2 fingers. Oh, and we are also going to be using a 5.5mm crochet hook. We're going to go under this strand, over this one, pull up, twist, grab the yarn, and chain 1. Now you've formed your magic circle. Now you're going to do 2 more chains, and this is going to act as your first double crochet for the first cluster. So we're going to be mainly working in double crochets for this project. So you're going to yarn over, go into the magic circle, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Do 1 more double crochet for this cluster. And now you have your first cluster. Now we're going to chain 2, and we're just going to do 3 double crochets into the magic circle. And then you're going to chain 2. And then you're just going to keep repeating the 3 double crochets and then chain 2 spaces just around 2 more times. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to do a chain 2. And now we're just going to take this short strand from the magic ring, and we're just going to pull it tight to close the hole, like this. And then we're just going to go into this stitch right here, the first double crochet, or actually the second double crochet. I don't usually go into the chain one for the one that acts like a double crochet. I go into this stitch right here, and I pick up some yarn, pull through, and that creates your slip stitch to end the round. So now we're going to chain 3, and we're just going to do two more double crochets in this chain space right here to start off the next round. So go in, pull up some string, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Do 1 more, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And you have your first cluster of the next round. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do 3 double crochets in this chain space, do a chain 2, and then do another 3 double crochets in the same chain space. So you're going to go into this one right here, do 3 double crochets, like that, chain 2, and go back into this chain space and do 3 more double crochets. And there you have your corner clusters. And so you're just going to repeat this 2 more times, and then you will do 3 double crochets in the final chain space, and then chain 2 and then slip stitch into that double crochet from the beginning to close the round. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back up to how to change colors. Okay, so I am back and I have finished my second round of this color. And as you can see, I did 2 more of the clusters in the chain spaces and did my last cluster in the last chain space and did a chain 2 and slip stitched into that stitch from when we were started. And now we have our 2 rounds of our main cover, first color. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a chain 1 and we're going to fasten off. So I'm going to grab my scissors. And so we're going to just fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail to weave in the ends later. And then we're just going to pull it through. So now to change colors, we're just going to pick up our black yarn. We're going to insert our hook into this chain space right here, right where we left off. And we're going to put the yarn on the hook, leave a long enough strand to weave in the end later, twist the short strand towards your middle finger on your right hand, and then keep it holded like that, and then bring up the loop, yarn over with the longer strand, chain 1, and that is how you're going to attach your yarn. Now I know black is hard to see, but just bear with me. You're going to be doing 2 rounds of each color, and you'll just attach your yarn like how I showed you here for every time you switch colors. So we're going to chain 2 more, and then we're just going to do the basic cluster in this chain space. So you're going to do 2 double crochets, and then you're going to do just exactly what you did for these rounds all the way around with black, the same way we did when we started. So you're going to do 3 double crochets in this space right here, in this space. And you're going to do 3 double crochets in this chain space, chain 2, and then do another 3 double crochets in the same space. And then you'll just repeat that around. So you'll be doing 3 double crochets in this chain space, chain 2, another 3 double crochets in this chain space, and then in this space you're going to be doing a cluster of 3. Chain 2, go back into this space, do another 3 double crochets, and then do a cluster in this space. And there you have it. Do 3 double crochets in the next chain space. Chain 2, another 3 double crochets in that chain space, and then do a cluster in this space. And then you'll just repeat what you did here in this chain space, and then repeat what you did here in this space, and then in the last space you're going to just do 1 cluster of double crochets in this space, chain 2, and then slip stitch to that first double crochet and chain 3 to start off the next round. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back up. Okay, so I am back, and I did my slip stitch and I chained 3. I know black is hard to see, just bear with me like I said before. So now you're just going to do the same thing you did with the orange for the second round, just doing 2 double crochets in this chain space right here, doing a cluster here, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and another 3 double crochets in this chain space, cluster, cluster, and so on for the next round. And then you will fasten off like I showed you before in the orange, and then you will attach your orange yarn for the next 2 rounds after the black, the way I showed you how we did with the black color. So go ahead and do your second round of your black and fasten off when you're done, and then just keep doing the same thing in orange for the next 2 rounds after that. And you will be doing this for a total of 15 rounds. And don't worry if you only have 1 round of one color in the end for the 15th round. I actually had 1 color in the black color for the front panel, so it's perfectly okay. So just go ahead and do your next round of black like I'm doing now, and you will attach your orange yarn like how I showed you and how we attach the black yarn for the next round to start off the other color again. So go ahead and do your clusters and your chain spaces, and I will meet you back up when I'm towards halfway there. Okay guys, so I am back with my 15 rows for my back panel for this, I'm going to be calling this the turtleneck tie-up vest. And so yeah, I have finished all of my 15 rows, and I definitely finished the last row with the black, as you can see. So the way we're going to do the straps, the way we're going to do the shoulders like this is basically, I did my first of my chain 3, I slip stitched into that double crochet right there. I know you guys can't see it, but bear with me. And I did my chain 3, and I'm gonna go right into this space right here and do 2 double crochets. So the chain 3 acts as our first double crochet, so we're gonna do 2 double crochets into this space here. So I did 1, so I did yarn over, go inside, pull up a loop, and so you're gonna have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you have your first cluster. And so we're gonna do that again. We're gonna do 3 double crochets in the next space here, and this space, and then in this space. So you'll have 4 clusters in total. So I'm gonna do yarn over, go into this space right here, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, pull through, and pull through 2. So you're gonna do 3 double crochets in the next few spaces, and that should give you a total of 4 clusters. And you can basically do this project in any 2 colors you want. I just chose these 2 because I am currently trying to start up my fall projects, even though it's a little bit early, but I really don't care because I wanted to start this project. And do 1 more. And there you have your 4 clusters. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now you're gonna do a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And you're gonna turn your work. And then you're gonna go into this space and do 3 double crochets. So you're gonna do 3 double crochets in the first space. And then do another cluster in this space, and then another cluster in this space. And when you get to the end, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So now I have all my 1, 2, and 3, my 3 clusters, because the chain here acts as a 1 double crochet, but it's going to act as a space for us for the next row when we turn our work again. So what you're going to do in this space right here, you're just going to do 1 double crochet. And that's how you're going to end this row here for the shoulder strap. So now chain 3, 2, and 3, turn your work. Let me see, and this is going to be your last row. Yeah, and this is going to be your last row for the shoulder, for the back panel. So we're going to go right into this stitch right here, this double crochet that you did for the last row, right there, and you're going to do 2 double crochets in this stitch right here, And so that is how you're going to start your last row for that shoulder. And then just do cluster, cluster, and then 1 last cluster in this space right here. I'll show you. One cluster, and then do another cluster in the next space. Just like that. Okay, just like that. And then do 1 last cluster in the last space right here, in this last space. And there you have it. And now you're gonna chain 1 and then fasten off, leaving a tail. And there you have your strap, your shoulder strap. Okay, so for the other side, I have flipped my panel, my back panel, so that way now you can see all the ends. We are going to attach our yarn to this chain space right here. So make a slip knot and then go into this chain space, pull up a loop, and do a slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 3, which acts as your first double crochet, and then do 2 double crochets in the same chain space to start off the next strap on the other side. There you have your first cluster, and so you're going to do exactly what I showed you here, except it's going to be opposite side. You're going to do a cluster, cluster, and then a cluster for the next 3 spaces. And then you're going to chain 3 and turn your work. Okay, so now I have my 4 clusters. Now I'm going to chain 3, 2, 3, turn my work, and just do a cluster in this space, a cluster in this space, cluster in this space, and then do 1 double crochet in this space, just like I showed you from the other side, from the first side that we did. And then after that, I will show you how we're going to connect the shoulders of each panel together and sew them. And then just do one in this space right here, this space. And see how we have all of our clusters. And then we have this one cluster here. And we're gonna chain 3. Turn our work for the last time. And then we're gonna do, excuse me, and then we're gonna do 2 double crochets in this double crochet that we finished off from the last round. So we did 1 and 2, because that chain does act as our double crochet. So we have 1 cluster there, and so now just do a cluster in this space, the next space, and then the last space do a cluster, and you should be finished with your other side for the strap. And then chain 1, and then fasten off. And there you have it. Your other side is done. So just flip over to see how the back panel is doing. And so now you have your 2 shoulders for each side for your back panel. And now we are going to go into how we are going to sew each panel together for the shoulder part. Okay, so the way we're going to sew the shoulders together is that we're going to have the back panel facing like this, and then we're going to have our front panel facing inside out. So that way we see the ends here. And so we're going to take our shoulders here. And so we are going to just sew the 2 on this line here. So as you can see like that. I know black is hard to see, but yeah, so we're gonna sew our shoulders together like that in a whip stitch. So take your darning needle, I'm gonna grab mine, and we're just gonna whip stitch. So put this through. And so we are just going to go into this stitch right here, and then go into the next stitch right here. And we're just gonna whip stitch. Gonna go into the same stitch to make it stay nice and secure. And we're just gonna whip stitch each stitch together, just like that. And it's going to keep going down until you have everything connected. And then weave in your end under the stitches to keep it nice and secure. So see now how the light is a little bit better. So yeah, we're just whip stitching our stitches together. And you're going to do the same thing for the other side. So go ahead and whip stitch your shoulders together, and I'll meet you back up for how we're gonna do the turtleneck part of the project. And I am going to change color for the turtleneck. I am gonna use a different color because I don't think I want to do black. Whip stitch like that, and just whip stitch a little bit more there, make it more secure. So yeah, I'll meet you guys back up for when we're done with our shoulders, and so I can show you how I'm gonna do the turtleneck part. Okay, so I am back and I have flipped my panels over so that they're right side in. And as you can see, I have done a single crochet border around the head hole over here. So basically I just single crocheted into each stitch around to create this whole border to start our turtleneck. And then you're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet you did when you started. And then what I did is that I chained 23 because that's how big it's going to be for this turtleneck. And then you're going to go into the second chain from the hook and just single crochet into these back bumps all the way down. And then when you get to the end, you're just going to slip stitch into these 2 stitches. You're going to slip stitch into this one and into this one, and then you'll turn your work, and then you're going to go into the back bumps, not into the back bumps, into the back loops only when you turn your work after that. So go ahead and single crochet into those back bumps for the first round of the first row of the chain. So as you can see, I'm going into the back bumps for this chain right here. So I'll meet you back up when we do the slip stitching. So I've made it to my last chain, and so now we're going to go into this stitch right here, pull up a loop, and we're going to do a slip stitch, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and slip stitch. And so now we're going to turn our work like this. And so going into the back loops only, so not the front loops, these back loops right here, these ones. So going into this back loop right here, you're just going to single crochet into each of the back loops all the way down, and then chain 1 and turn, and just single crochet into the back loops again all the way down, and then you will slip stitch into these 2 chains right here. And then it's going to create this ribbing effect, you see? Now you're going to chain 1, and now you're going to go back, and you're going to go into the back loops only again, and you're going to crochet all the way down. When you get to the end, you're going to slip stitch into these 2 stitches here. Slip stitch into this one and into this one, and then turn your work and do the same thing that I just showed you for the second row of going into the single crocheting into the back loops only. And just keep on doing that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you have finished the turtleneck, and I will show you how we're going to connect the opening. So go ahead and do your rows, and I'll meet you back when we close everything up. Okay, so I am back with our turtleneck all finished. We just have to close these gaps right here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're gonna take our yarn, and we're going to put the camera a little closer, And we are going to just slip stitch into this last stitch right here. It is perfectly okay if you have just one stitch left over to slip stitch into. Most of my projects end up like that, and it's perfectly okay. It doesn't make a difference. But yeah, so if you have only one stitch left over to slip stitch into to attach the turtleneck to the vest here, that's perfectly okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to line up our two gaps together, and we are just going to slip stitch the stitches together. So we're gonna go to this stitch right here and then to this one. I'm just gonna do a simple slip stitch all the way down and putting both sides together like this. And at the very end, you are going to do a chain 1 and fasten off. Now I know what you're thinking, the seam is gonna be outside. Well, you're gonna be folding this turtleneck over like this, so it does not really matter whether the seam is in or outside. I'm just doing it this way because basically you're just gonna be folding the turtleneck over so way you can wear it, and it's gonna look really nice. So just slip stitch all the way down as I'm doing here, and you'll chain one at the end and you'll fasten off your work. And then I will show you how we're gonna do the side straps, or yes, how we're gonna do the sides to create our little tie-up straps for the rest of this project. And if you've seen one of my other videos on how to do like a tie-up vest, which I think was my very last, was my previous tutorial, we're basically just gonna do exactly how I showed you in that one of how to do the side straps to tie, to make some bows on the side, and to finish up this project here. So I'll meet you back up when we're done. Okay, so I have chained 1 and fastened off my work. So now what we're gonna do is we're just going to weave that end in down these stitches right here. And then we'll fold down our turtleneck and we will have that part done. So we're just gonna go under these stitches right here. Maybe a little hard to see at first, but they're there. So just gonna go like this to each one to weave in that end. And you'll be done with your turtleneck part. Just like that. Just give a little stretch out so that way it doesn't tug. And just keep going underneath these stitches. And then just fasten off like that. And then you're all done with this part. And now just turn towards you, and then just take your turtleneck and just fold it down like this. Make sure your vest is a little straightened out. And there you have it. Your turtleneck's all done. Look how nice that is. That looks so nice. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do the sides. Basically the same way I did it like from my last tutorial on how to do a tie-up vest. But I'm going to show you anyways, just in case if you forgot how to do it. So we're going to grab our gray yarn here. It's a good thing I had enough left over. We're going to make a slip knot. Take our hook and insert. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top up here. I know you may not be able to see it, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. So we're going to go into this little space right here, and we're just going to start doing single crochets until you reach the midsection here, and I'll show you how many chains we're going to do. Probably the same amount as I did from my last video, which is around like 61 chains in order to make it even. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets in this space. Do a single, like I said, single crochet all the way down until you reach that middle section of the vest. And then I will meet you back up to show you exactly how I do the chains. And when you do the chain, you're not doing any single crochets. You're basically just going to be doing slip stitching all the way down and then meeting back up to where you started the chain. So I will meet you up when I am done with this row. And once you reach the clusters in here, you're just going to go into those double crochet stitches right up once you're done with the little shoulder corner here. So go ahead and do your single crochets until you meet into the middle of the vest, and then I'll show you how to do the chain. Okay, so I have reached the middle of the vest right here, and I counted from the bottom up, so I counted around 7 clusters up, and I ended up right here. So now we're going to chain 61, and after that you're going to start in the second chain from the hook and just do slip stitch all the way down, and then you're going to meet back up here and do another single crochet in that same stitch where you started off the chain. And then you'll just single crochet all the way down, do 4 single crochets in this chain space at the end so that way it doesn't curl up, and then just continue down on the other side. So we're not gonna be just like doing this side and then just fastening off. We're gonna be going all the way around this vest part and then meeting back up to where you started here. And then you will do a slip stitch in this first single crochet that you started off with. All right, so do your 61 chains, and then I'll meet you back up to show you how I'm gonna do the slip stitch. Okay, so I'm back with my 61 chains. So now what I do is I go into the back bumps only, so that way it leaves the V-stitch on the top, and it looks nice, and it makes it look all nice and neat, and I like it the way it looks when it comes out. So we're gonna go into the second chain from the hook, which should leave you 60 stitches in total. So go in, pull up some yarn, and then pull through the loop like that. Show you again. So go in, pull up some yarn, pull through, and that's how you're going to do your slip stitch all the way down, and you're going to meet back up to that single crochet right here and do another single crochet right in that same stitch, and then continue down with single crochets, also doing 4 single crochets in that last chain space in the corner so it doesn't curl up on you, and then just continue around the other side doing 7 clusters up as we did here, as well as for the other side, and doing the same thing that we're going to be doing here for the other strap. It's doing 61 chains, ending up with 60 for each side. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'll meet you back up to show you. But basically we are just doing the same thing we did here for this side for the other side of the vest and for the back panel as well. So you'll have 4 stringy straps for the sides to tie up your vest in total. You'll have 2 on the front panel and then 2 on the back panel. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and I'll meet you back up. Okay, so I've made it all the way around into the other side. Like I said, you're just gonna do the same thing you did from the other side onto this side, and just do the chains of 61 and doing the single crochet in the second chain from the hook, which gives you 60 stitches in total. As you can see, I did the slip stitch like that, so your strap should look like this. And just give them a tug a little bit just to straighten them out. and then I just single crocheted all the way up this side. So you're basically going to do the same thing you did for your front panel for your back panel as you did for the single crochet and the slip stitch straps, because that's way you're going to tie it on each side with bows. So I just ended up right here. So just do what you did for your front panel to your back panel, and I'll meet you back when everything's done. Also, do not forget to weave in your ends. Okay, so I finished up all of my sides and did the straps, and I slip stitched to that first single crochet that we did when we started, and now I'm gonna do a chain 1 to fasten off. And so now you're just going to weave in these ends underneath these stitches right here, and you will be all set for your turtleneck tie-up vest. So go ahead and weave your ends in, and I will show you how it looks. Okay, so here is the finished product for the tie-up vest. I pre-tied the sides because I know how I'm gonna like it. And yeah, it is all done, ready to wear. I just gotta steam block it. So yeah, if you guys like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out in the algorithm and give me great support. Leave some comments down below if you guys want to see more videos from me for different projects. I would be happy to oblige. And have a great day and enjoy.